I really want to be a vendor at a market come winter time in Florida. I can visualize the customers lining up and selling me out on a Saturday and selling out within 2 hours. Welcome back to another Crusty Cravings video. It is market week and my market prep starts very early. I'm starting on Monday with a Costco run, and I'm getting all of my flour, my butter, any extra things that I need on my list, cheddar cheese, things for my loaves, things for my baked goods. Honestly, I don't spend that much compared to some bakers, but I'm also not making a lot. I make a max of around 50 loaves for a market, and I'm also making scones, cookies, muffins, and other things. But as far as flour, you know, I'm not buying 18 big bags of flour. Today I'm walking you through market prep, what goes into market week, how I prepare for my market, and the days leading up to it. Today is Thursday night, and I am feeding my starter a 1:4:4 ratio at 10 p.m. I anticipate it will peak at around 5 a.m., and that is what I'm going to use to mix all of my dough tomorrow. I have organic spelt loaves, jalapeno cheddar loaves, garlic and herb loaves, double chocolate espresso loaves, you name it. We've got everything going. I have 50 loaves that I need to make for this market and a number of other things. I'm also going to make cookies, scones, and muffins for this market. So today I'm preparing a leaven. This is what I'm using to mix all of my dough tomorrow, and I make an exact amount of starter. So tomorrow I need about 5,500 grams of active sourdough starter. So I'm going to put about 687 grams of starter into here, and I'm going to feed it with 2,750 grams of flour, 2,750 grams of water. I do not count the starter amount in my total amount of starter going into this bucket. I always like to have leftover for scones, cookies, and other discard recipes. So I just count the flour and the water amount that I'm putting in here towards my 5,500. mixing 30 to 50 loaves in a week was getting super tiring for me and honestly creating a lot of burnout because I was dreading each market week and bread drop week. So I asked for the white Universal Plus Bosch mixer from Nutrimil for Christmas, and it has been a lifesaver. I'm able to mix 5 to 6 loaves per round in my mixer. I do mix all of my ingredients on the side. I learned the hard way when I was mixing in the actual mixing bowl that it maxes out my scale after a certain point, and you don't want that happening mid-measuring. I also find that it's really helpful to measure all of your flour on the side because you'll put about 4 to 5 loaves worth of flour in your mixing bowl and think it's completely full. But after you mix for a few seconds, you'll notice that it decreases in volume and you can add a lot more flour. So I was able to put about 7 loaves in one of these batches at a time this week, which was amazing. I always tell people that when you switch from hand mixing to a mixer, you're going to find that your dough is just a little bit stickier to the touch after mixing, and that's because the flour is incorporated a lot faster and is fully hydrated, whereas when you're hand mixing, it's a very gentle mixing process and it slowly hydrates that flour, so it just doesn't feel as sticky to the touch. You really only have to mix for a max of 2 minutes at the most. I do it until my dough just seems like it's a little tacky, not soupy, just tacky and a tiny bit sticky to the touch. And then I go ahead and put it in one of my dough bins. And because this is the same type of dough, I'm able to do back-to-back batches of 5 to 7 loaves. And I add those to the same tub. And eventually I do coil folds to incorporate all of that dough together and make sure it is evenly distributed and well incorporated. I mix all of my ingredients at the very beginning now, and I let my dough sit for about an hour before I do any kind of stretch and folds. That is just giving my dough a chance to develop before I go straight into stretches and folds. And I do enjoy coil folds a lot more than the normal stretch and folds, especially with a massive amount of dough. I do find that my dough is pretty strong after about the second stretch and fold, and it is silky smooth, especially with this mixer. Right after all of my dough was shaped and put in the fridge, I went straight into cookie and scone prep. I like to prep my cookies about 1 to 2 days before and let them chill in the fridge, and I prep my scones 1 to 2 days before and let them sit in the freezer. The key to my cookies is the brown butter. I'm telling you, it creates this level of nuttiness and this extra flavor profile within your cookie that is going to knock your socks off. The secret to any good cookie recipe It's cornstarch. One of my best-selling menu items are my maple pecan scones. People go crazy for these. It's a sweet and nutty and salty flavor profile, so it has the best of both worlds with the sweet and savory combo. I like to prep my scones 1 to 2 days before and shape them, cut them into 8 pieces, and put them in the freezer wrapped in plastic wrap, which I think helps keep their shape a lot better once you go to bake them. It keeps all the ingredients nice and cold and keeps those flaky layers together. Well, this is not how I wanted this morning to go. I normally do a delay bake function on my oven the night before, and so when I wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. to start baking, my oven is preheated. Well, this morning I woke up and my oven was stuck at 395 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm like, why is it not coming up to temperature? It needs to be at 450 to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So I kicked it up to 500, just hoping that that would raise the temp, and I noticed that it got up to like 410. Like, maybe my oven sensor is broken and it's actually hotter in there. And I've had baking steels in there and those are really hot. So I put my first 12 minis in there. And what I did was, I've researched this, you can bake sourdough at a lower temperature, it just takes longer for it to bake. So I put it in there. I only did one score. I have not opened the oven door. I only opened it halfway through to rotate them, and I took the steam out, but they are getting an oven spring, and I'm just thinking that they're gonna take longer to bake. And then after this first round is done, I'm gonna have my husband go to Home Depot and try to get a part for the bottom. I think it's the coil at the bottom of the oven, the heating coil, because it's not red down there and it feels like cold at the bottom and super hot at the top of my oven. And the fan is still working. And since this is hot, I would imagine that this is still working. It's just the bottom that's the problem. So we'll see. It is market bake day and I have over 50 loaves to still bake. I have tons of cinnamon rolls, scones, cookies, muffins, so many things to bake. So I'm just praying that we can figure out what's wrong. Bake day is looking a little bit different today. My neighbor's house. Had to carry everything over. And by the grace of God, we found this replacement part at a local appliance store that carried it. None of the other local stores carried it. Home Depot, Lowe's, none of them had it. So we're hoping that this works. The man, the myth, the legend, my husband, the savior. We have heat.
Things with me.
market and I have sold out of everything besides a single cinnamon roll. So it has been a really good day. I forgot to vlog anything, but it's been a really good day.